Today we are going to start day 5 of Secrets of Canyon Cave. Our focus today is to use details and examples to talk about the text. This is a two-part exercise, part 1 and part 2. We are reading today pages 96 and 97. Our goal is to quote accurately from the text when comparing and contrasting characters, themes, or events. And I'm going to tell you we're going to talk about both the characters and the events in the story. When we first left off last week, we know that Brandon and Rhea were going on a scavenger hunt and that they went in a direction in which Brandon wanted to go and not Rhea. We also learned that Brandon was not too impressed that his scavenger hunt mate was a girl. Now we find them walking up into a cave that they just discovered. So please open your book up to page 96 and follow along as I read. Good idea. Brandon pulled out his phone and called Ranger Merker while Rhea snapped photos with her phone. He let the ranger know that they would get back just as soon as they could, but they were given strict instructions to stay put since it would soon be nightfall. In the morning, officials would come get them. Morning? Brandon wasn't thrilled at the thought of staying here overnight, with a girl no less. But at least he wasn't alone, and they did have backpacks filled with emergency items. Still, he never intended to be camping tonight. But Rhea didn't seem to mind, her face alight with curiosity. Her hands traced the drawings on the walls, simple scrawlings of stars, the moon, and a big sun shaped like a spiral. Can you believe this, Brandon? This is amazing. I'm sorry, let me reread that last line one more time. Notice how I changed the punctuation the second time I read it so it could sound a little better. Can you believe this? Brandon, this is amazing. At the top of page 97. It is, he said, but it couldn't ignore the sneaking feeling in his stomach. They would never win the scavenger hunt now. He should have listened to Rhea and gone towards Gooseneck State Park. Photos of the entrenched river would have won them the hunt for sure. Why did he have to be so cautious all the time? Well, I guess there's nothing to do but wait, he said, plopping onto the cold sandstone floor, crossing his legs. He watched with a heavy sigh as the driving rain pounded the rocks outside. As the water pooled into small potholes and crevices, Brandon watched the sky shift from stormy gray to dark coral, and then finally to deep purple and royal blue. He had never slept inside the desert before. Would their encounter of black bears, coyotes, or worst of all, snakes? He took out his Swiss Army knife and set it next to him, just in case. Rhea sat next to him, unzipped her backpack, and pulled out a water bottle and a flashlight. A gust of wind whistled into the cave, chilling Brandon to the bone. He yanked out the jacket from his backpack and pulled it on, hugging it close. Soon the clouds cleared away, and the night furried over the canyon like a giant blanket of black velvet with silver glitter spilled all across it. Brandon ventured outside to admire it. He never in his life had seen so many bright stars, shooting stars, and faint purple, yellow blotches, which he guessed might be nebula or bands of the galaxy. In the darkness, he vaguely detected shapes scuttling about, lizards or rodents trying to bring their meals home. In the distance, a coyote howled. Restless, Brandon returned to the cave, doing his best to imagine what the ancient Azizi tribemen getting ready for a good night's sleep out of harm's way. If they could do it, so could I. So that's the end of our reading today for pages 96 and 97. Now let's take a look at our activity for today. Part 1. Use the information from the text to respond to the questions. Remember, if we're using information from the text to respond to the question, we should be answering it using the race strategy. It says, look at page 97. How does Brandon's attitude change about sleeping in the cave overnight? Remember what happened when we first started reading the page at the top of page 97. How does Brandon feel about sleeping in the cave? And how does he feel towards the end of that page? Make sure you use evidence from the text. You're quoting directly from the text, so put quotations around it, and you can use the exact words. Part 2 of our assignment is use the chart below to compare and contrast the characters. Contrast Rhea and Brandon's reaction to being stranded in the cave. So similar to part 1, how does Rhea feel about being in the cave? How does Brandon feel about being in the cave? This time you're going to use bullet points, so that means you don't have to use complete sentences, and you should have 2 points for each person, 2 for Rhea and 2 for Brandon. That's it for today. Thanks and have a great day.